Assalamu alaikum, everyone. We are continuing our early modern age lesson 4. I'm going to share the slides with you guys. Okay. All right. Now this week we are going to begin learning about the Ottoman Empire. Historically, there were 3 major Islamic empires: the Umayyads in Spain, the Abbasids, and the Ottomans. Muslim history can be broadly divided into three major empires: the Umayyads in Spain, the Abbasids, and the Ottomans. And also we can broadly divide the phases of the Muslim history following phases. For example, first, the rule of the Arab Quraysh for the first 600 years, then came the Mongol invasion, and after that, a new power arose from among the Turks. And they built a mighty empire, the Ottomans, which lasted for centuries and eventually collapsed after World War I. Now, over the next few weeks, we will be covering the story for the last Islamic empire that existed, the Ottoman Empire. Now, let's talk about the roots of the Ottomans. The roots of the Ottoman Empire actually go back to Kai tribe. During the time, the Mongols were invading Baghdad and other parts of the Muslim area and the lands. The Seljuks were engaged in battles with both Crusades and the Mongols. This all took place in the region known as Anatolia. Modern day, we call it Turkey, which was a home for many nomadic tribes. And then they moved from place to place, and these tribes did not really settle in one area for long. They would move frequently and rebuild their homes wherever they stopped. Because this lifestyle, they didn't leave behind much written history, and they likely never thought their stories would become important in the future. The Kai tribe, it was led by Suleiman Shah, sought protection from the Seljuk Empire. His son, Ertugrul, helped the Seljuks in their defense. As a reward, the Seljuks gave the Kai tribe a land to settle. And then the last Seljuk Sultan had no son, so he gave his daughter in marriage to Ertugrul. This allowed the Kai tribe to rise in leadership and influence. Now, let's pause and reflect here, okay? We don't have much historical information about Suleiman Shah and Ertugrul due to the lack of written records. The TV series Ertugrul is a very popular and has brought attention to the part of the history, but it is important to remember that this is actually historical fiction. The show does portray the akhlaq, the adab, and Islamic culture of that era, which can be inspiring. But if someone is used to watching movies and shows that includes impermissible contents, and then, I would say Ertugrul may be a better, though not perfect, alternative, okay? It can be acceptable, but it is not recommended. It is not, I'm not recommending you to watch it. It is not fully it's not but some cases, maybe rather than watching other things that has homosexuality, that has other things going on, better to maybe people can choose to watch this. However, if you don't watch any movies or shows at all, which is actually ideal and something we should all strive for, then please don't start watching this. But be careful. The reason I mentioned this because I think this TV series is one of the most popular TV series on Ottoman Empire, and just be careful with not to confuse entertainment with real history, because it's a historical fiction that developed the stories, but we know that there is no for sure a written history from Kai tribe. Okay, it was just passed down with oral transmission. And always seek authentic sources to understand the past. Now let's talk about a little bit rise of the Ottoman Empire. Did I miss anything in there? No. Okay. So yeah, I think I already covered these parts. Not much known about this early Kai warriors. Seljuks gave the Kai tribe the land in exchange. The daughter of the last Seljuk king married Ertugrul, and the leadership of the region passed down to the Kai tribe, and then the king died. And it's very difficult, right? I've just mentioned this because it was mostly passed down to legends and folklore. So let's move on to our next slide. Now, the founding of the Ottoman Empire, or some may say the roots, or how it was the foundation. All right. Now, the actual beginning of Ottoman Empire starts with Osman, Ertugrul's son. He was a third son, as his two elder brothers had passed away in jihad. And Osman was a visionary and very forward-thinking leader. This is one of the most amazing stories in the history in world history, because a small, humble, nomadic tribe focused only on defending their people. And later on, they grew into one of the most powerful empires in history. And this shows us something powerful. If Allah puts barakah and blessing in your effort, then anything is possible. So never belittle any effort you make to start something good in your life. So Osman's son had 2 wives and he had 6 children. We don't know much about Osman era, but we know for sure he had 2 sons, 2 wives, and 6 children. His second son, his name was Orhan actually, became the next leader. His elder brother, his name was Alauddin. He was a very knowledgeable scholarly figure who served as a chief advisor. So we're going to get into the Orhan a little bit later. Let's finish this slide, what it says. So in a summary, so what was happening? Out of the necessity, the nomadic tribe actually settled down because they were it was getting hard for them. So keep wherever they're going. The Mongols were attacking them. They were fighting with the Crusaders and all these things. Finally, they offered help to defend to the Seljuk Empire, and the Seljuk Empire gave them a land which is called Anatolia. And then Ertugrul was married with the daughter of Seljuk's king, and then no descendant was left, male descendant. Then the leadership came to the Kai tribe. Now we are talking about Ertugrul's son. We know that he founded a small state in Anatolia that would eventually grow into Ottoman Empire. Okay, I hope this is clear up to this point. Yes, 35 sultans came from the descendants of Osman, and that including some who ruled over 50 countries. So that's kind of an overview. Now let's come, if we look into this map, always whenever we look into the map, we go to the legends and then see actually what color or what signs are representing. So if you see the boundary of the Ottoman Empire as its greatest extension, it's with the red line here. So you can see from all the way, all these area, and then this was the highest when the Ottoman Empire was the highest. So it covered a massive lands. Eventually it will cover a massive land, but if we are talking about the area, it's let me just make it a little bit bigger. Oh. And that way you can see I'm talking about, this is the area. Okay. Istanbul, this is the area that I'm talking about, right? At this part I'm talking. Now, Osman's son, Orhan, became the next leader, Okay, Orhan I or Orhan, um, he became the next leader, even though he was the second son. Okay, his elder brother Alauddin was a knowledgeable person. He was a very scholarly figure, and he served as a chief advisor. However, the leadership was more suited for Orhan's personality, while Alauddin supported his wisdom and his counsel. And this is a very important lesson for the parents here, for us, even for anyone who's listening. Sometimes we push our children into certain career paths without considering their actual skills or interest. We just, whatever we think is more prestigious, more, it has more money, more prestige, more all these things, we just push them for that. So what Osman did, that yes, traditionally the eldest son is expected to take over, right? Usually that's what we see, that they're taking over the family business, they're taking over any leadership role or any kingdoms and anything. But Osman did not follow that expectation, perhaps because you know what, he himself was a third son. So in his perspective, he chose the son who was the best suited for that role, not the one culturally expected. Now, this impact, so it started with a small city in Anatolia, right? Now, the empire in itself, it was a necessity. How? It was not just a coincidence. It was really a necessity. At that time, the Muslim world in that region was very unsafe, surrounded by the enemies like Mongols and Crusaders, and something had to be really done to protect the Muslims. And in many ways, it mirrors that what we are going through today. At this time, people also felt like at that time, I'm talking about the time of the before Ottoman Empire started, they started to build a small country, so a small city. At that time, people also felt like that it was the end of the world because uh, the Crusaders and the Mongols invasion was making Muslims' life miserable. Now, but Allah actually brought relief through a new beginning. And so who knows that the way we are today, maybe it could happen again in our lifetime. Because anyway, so let's come back here again. Ancient cities were actually usually protected by walls, okay, and then it made sense, right, to fortify them. As Usman's city started grew stronger, other small nomadic tribes, Muslim nomadic tribes or other tribes, they reached out to Orhan for support because they saw how whoever is living within the Ottoman Empire, Osman's boundaries, having support, they are having protections, and you know what? This is how. So they would connect and they would say, we want to live inside your territory. In return, we want the protection and the support, and we will also support. Like we will also fight. And he began to expand his lands, and more people come under this leadership. And this is how the city grew into a country. And then later on, down the road, we will see the country got into an empire, grow into an empire. Now, eventually, Ottomans were no longer just defending, right? Because when they had more armies, more people started living and joining together, they were not defending. They were able to go on to offensive. So what does defending means? Defending means that when somebody's attacking you and you are protecting yourself. Offensive means when somebody is not attacking you, could be, most likely. So before, you don't wait until they start fighting with you, you go ahead and you start the war, or you go and invade their area, because you know that, you know what, This is how actually the Middle Age was. This was the reality. Because if you don't attack first, if you did not attack first in that era, you'd likely be attacked by those people. And this was the norm of the time. If you read the history of the Middle Age, other than even the Muslim history, you will see this was the norm. Either you attack some other tribes or other countries, otherwise you would be attacked. Because that time there is no peace treaty among the countries, there is no international law. It's not like this time, even though this time there are still, we see, even despite the fact we have international laws, we still see that these things with many countries that's happening right now. So eventually, with more people, weapons, and territories, and they had the strength to push back against the Mongols and Crusaders before even being attacked. Okay. You know, inshallah, I would say Orhan he focused. So let's talk about here a little bit more. I would say let's try to do finish the finish the slide here. So our Othman or Osman was succeeded by his son Orhan. I was talking about Orhan. Orhan's elder brother Alauddin served as a chief advisor and religious scholar. Orhan focused on removing the Byzantine presence in the Asia Minor, launched a series of assaults against him. He ruled for 35 years and extended the Ottoman kingdom greatly during this period. So this was also responsibility. He's also responsible for modernizing the army and his empire. So next week, inshallah, we will start from this here. I want to pause for now. Jazakallah khair for listening, and always think about. I want leave you guys actually with this note that inshallah, who knows, maybe we will be one day part of a third golden era of Muslim Ummah, because it happened that time when nobody thought that Muslims will even stand up on their feet, and it happened. So it can happen in our lifetime too. Okay. So assalamu alaikum, jazakallahu khair, khairan for your time and your attention, and may Allah accept it from all of us.